Today, my guest, y'all, I have sharing with you all is Tanya. Tanya is a spiritual intuitive. I also consider her my earth angel and my spiritual mother. She has done plenty of things, considering healing and being an empath and really connecting with herself so that she can fulfill her life's purpose. And so today we'll talk to her about, again, the gifts that she's sharing with the world and how she has been triumphant in her healing journey, and again turned around to be able to give it back. And so, hey Tanya.
Hey, Chrissy.
How you doing today?
I am excellent. How are you?
I'm well. And so we're gonna get right in.
It's a little awkward because I'm like, do I look at you or should I look at myself?
You know what was so funny is it's at the beginning I was looking at myself because I felt if I looked at you I would cheese like way too hard. I probably giggle.
Example.
Yeah. So yeah, but no, I'm it's up to you. If you want to look at yourself, you can. I'm gonna be looking at you from here on out after, of course, the
Yeah, I'm
go.
gonna look at you, so it won't be so weird.
Gotcha. And so, if you like, actually, not even if you like, but could you share a few things about yourself, as far as an intro, introducing yourself to the people?
Sure. Well, I am Tanya Oakland. Spiritual intuitive is how I refer to myself, as one who uses their intuitive energy in a spiritual manner. Spiritual meaning pertaining to their spirit. I am not a religious being. My sole purpose is to assist in the healing of others, and I do that via my readings. I'm a four-clair empath and medium, and I've been giving readings for 29 years. I'm only 35. I came out the womb doing this. Don't laugh. Laugh shows falsehood, right? It kind of implies falsehood. So, yeah, nice, pretty smile. Let's see what else. I use no tools, although I started off using the tarot. And I'm a big supporter of tarot card readers. That was the way I discovered my gifts. Well, the first gift, but then start to develop that first gift, which just started the other gifts occurring, happening, appearing. So that's pretty much it. Oh, Pisces, of course. Not
That's
a
a sign. Say it again.
Pisces, of course, kind of, sort of course, but not really, of course. But being as intuitive as I am, and Pisceans, I call them, are intuitive. So I go straight under there. I'm intuitive. I can be introverted. I am very sensitive, very creative. At times, I'm entertaining, not meaning to be, just trying to get through life. So many of the characteristics of the Piscean I possess, and two of them that I really embrace and exhibit are the sensitivity as well as the intuitive energy. Oh, and the creative energy, because I am also a writer director, and I run my first award from the Marina Del Rey Film Festival for Best Director for my three shorts, The Drug Deal, a COVID-19 comedy, The Store, a COVID-19 comedy, and Browsing History. And we also won the best cinematography for The Drug Deal from the LA Comedy Film and Screenplay and Film Festival.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that is all possible by my other half. His name is Chad. And so as we get into our discussion and talk about healing and such, this is an individual that I prayed for. I started praying for this individual in 1999 because I realized that the journey I was on spiritually, I was discovering gifts, powers, abilities, whatever term you want to use, that were very powerful. I'm a Pisces who wanted to be in love. And I wanted that part of me to be satisfied, yet I wanted the spiritual part of me to also be satisfied and supported. So I needed a special individual. And so I prayed for someone who could complement who I was becoming to enter my life. He didn't need to complement who I was because I knew I was changing. I him to compliment who I was becoming. And then 10 years later, 10, enter Chad, and so we are business partners. We are soulmates, and not because we love each other, but because of a specific reason. I believe it is karmic purposes, the reason why he is a soulmate of mine, because
Mm-hmm.
yet with that, the filming stuff that I do, the creative writing and the directing, that's a fascination of my ego. And I call it simply my ego fascination, because my sole purpose, as I mentioned, is to assist in the healing of others. So I
Okay.
do that by the readings. My ego fascination, because spirit and ego can coexist. Okay. So my ego fascination is writing. And I recently got into directing 3 years ago when the pandemic started, hence the COVID-19 comedies. We are in that regard. We're going to get back to everything else. I just want to say we are in that regard as far as the ego part of me. We are working on our first feature, which is The Raid, a COVID-19 comedy. And that's 21 actors, one location. It's about a deluded director, a deluded substance addicted director, and his dysfunctional production crew, and his D-list actors trying to sneak film a movie during the early days of the pandemic. I believe it was around March 17th, 18th, something like that, maybe even the 20th, when Governor Newsom got on TV and said, everybody stay home and don't talk to nobody you don't know. You're not in the house with you. And it was right after that, we had to stay home, and Chad wrote his first short, and then I wrote one because I was like, oh, I want to do it. And we were acquainted with actors, and so we moved forward with that part of ourselves, the creative part of ourselves. And so we are now here working on the feature. So as we talk about this intuitive, spiritual, inner self work, healing, and development, when I speak of my creative writing and the directing, those are examples of positive results of internal work. See how it comes back to what it is?
Oh, yeah, oh, always, always. It always does.
A damaged Tanya couldn't have done the things that she's done. A damaged Tanya possibly wouldn't have realized that she needed to pray for someone like Chad and maybe not have accepted him into her life. And it's not all about him, yet it is a lot about the people who we allow to influence and inspire and motivate us. So I just wanted to bring that in before we went more to the spiritual healing inner selves, just to punch in and plug, of course, my creative writing, psychic writer 317 on IG.
As you should. We're gonna ask you for it again at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And that also answered, a little bit of the next question, which is like where you are in your journey right now. As far as you directing. And I remember y'all for a minute, me and Tanya go way back. And I remember Tanya writing erotica and me having to like go somewhere and read it.
I know. I know.
I'm gonna wait.
Somebody looking?
Yeah, or even just how it made me feel. And at the time, I was so closeted, about sexuality and about expressing that, to where it was something that I had a little shame connected to it as well. And so I'm thankful that you shared that, because you allowed me to get up out of that. And so, as you said, it's all connected and it comes back around. And in order for you to do the work, you got to do the work, like the inner work, right? And so you mentioned something, and I do want to, because I know what you meant, but you said for Claire.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is for Claire for a person who is new to intuitive language or intuitive spirituality? What does that mean?
So I just simplify it to for Claire. However, I'm clairvoyant, clairaudience, clairsentient, and claircognizant. I'm also an empath and a medium, and I channel. Now, clairvoyant, all of these are psychic terms. All of these adjectives describe psychic. Okay. So as a clairvoyant, I receive psychic information via visions, sight. As a clairaudient, I receive psychic information by hearing or sounds. Sometimes I hear music. As a clairsentient, I get psychic information via feelings and hunches, usually originating like from the gut, if you really pinpoint it. However, we must understand that being clairsentient and being an empath are two different things. I'm also an empath, where basically I'm energetically sensitive. I can feel what another person feels. I can get psychic information. Empaths can get psychic information about another person's matter, issue, dilemma, because we can feel what they feel, right? Some people who are awakening and realizing that they are empaths, and it's a lot more every day, firstly, don't realize that the simplistic term of being an empath is being energetically sensitive. We don't need to hear all these blah, blah, blah. People want to tell the empath, you're a healer and this and that. You can be if you feel first. Just because I can feel what you can feel, Chrissy, doesn't mean that I can heal you if I'm lost in my own trauma. What happens is if I'm living as an unconscious empath, meaning I may know I'm an empath, but I'm not living consciously, what can happen is I'm going through my own trauma. I'm picking up energy from other people, aggravating, agitating my own situation, compounding, enhancing the intensity of the negative energy just because I'm an empath and living unconsciously. So just because we're an empath doesn't mean we're healers. Yet an empath can be a healer or assist in the healing of. I don't necessarily like to call somebody a healer, but I understand how we do call that person that. I like to say that, as in my sole purpose, I assist in the healing of others because that person has to do their part. I'm not a magician. You feel me? So it is what it is.
You know I do. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
I'm sorry, the medium.
Oh.
I can explain that. The medium is the psychic who communicates with transitioned energies. They may also communicate with spirit guides, as some people connect with their ancestors. I believe a medium can also communicate with one's ancestors, as well as the highest power, I believe, is God. And I believe a lot of people can communicate with God, they just don't know it. And sometimes religion creates a barrier between one's spiritual self and the highest power. So,
Very, very true.
once we break through, either crawl over the barrier or break through it, I feel like that's when you can really get a sense of self and a sense of God. And I don't mean in a religious way, but that's just my beliefs. Do not come after me.
They'll still come, but it's okay because we divinely protected. Yet, one of the things that came to me when you said that, I would hear there's so many sayings, right? The cliche sayings, and one of them that I heard a lot growing up was God works in mysterious ways. And I understood it and I still understand it, but I feel like I switched it because God is always working. It's just when we choose to pay attention to it, so it may seem mysterious, but God is always working, so
that phrase has also a lot to do with sometimes something happens and you think it's a curse, or sometimes you don't get what you want and you think it's, God being against you and not listening to you, blah, blah, blah. God works in mysterious ways. You didn't get that prayer answered because what you really wanted, he's given to you in a different way, perhaps in a way that it brings longevity. Who knows? So, I when they say God works in mysterious ways, to me, I don't feel that his ways are so mysterious.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like if we become those who are able, those who feel like they should, because I understand life in a different way than a lot of people do. And so with that being said, I understand our life experience. It's just a spiritual existence and spiritual experience and physical existence. So, you know, we're enlightened spiritual energy empowered by physicality. That's what I feel the human is. So we're already aware. You know, sometimes we just become dumbified because of, you know, let's say it, parents, guardians, some teachers, whoever took this new life, this new energy and cultivated and influenced it, and then it become disempowered. Well, those are the people. You know what I'm saying? But once we discover who we are, our own power, or at least become influenced to set out on a journey, you know, we become different people. And so feeling like life is merely this spiritual experience in physical form, I think differently from a lot of people. And I feel like if we reconnect to our spiritual selves, then we instantly and automatically reconnect to a higher power. And so, you know, the things in this realm of psychic ability and spirituality, there are so many terms that people, well, for me, they have so many definitions and descriptions that I can't embrace because on my journey, this 29-year journey, I didn't have a mentor or a guru. I didn't read, I didn't listen to audiobooks. I meditated and prayed. So today, if somebody says something to me of a spiritual manner, I'll sit still. And if my spirit can accept it, okay, I believe that. If my spirit can't digest it, if it can't accept it, I can't believe it. I don't care what's hard. I don't care what proof you think you presented. You know, I'm living this existence where my spirit and my ego are coexisting harmoniously. Sometimes, you know, the ego will cuss out the spirit. That happens.
It does.
They love each other. That's EVBA. They love each other.
I love it. And so I want to rewind a little bit because you did say that you started with tarot, and I want to ask what encouraged you to pick up a deck of tarot? Like, what was it that calling that you had to pick up?
So I had a friend who took me to a tarot card reader. So she took me to this reader, and then the lady, very, very nice maternal, motherly, grandmother woman, Hispanic lady. So anyway, she took me to her. She had her reading, I had my reading, and this lady impressed me incredibly. She was looking at these tarot cards that didn't have words on them, and they weren't people. They looked like weird vegetables, honestly. We would sit at the table, and she had this red cloth and a glass of water. And I asked her, Lelise, why do you always have this glass of water here? Because she would put it there right before she does the reading. And she said, that's to keep my thoughts pure. So I was like, yo, okay. So she has a glass of water. She has her cloth, and we're in the kitchen, her tablecloth. She shuffles these cards, or did she give them to me? I think at that time she might have shuffled, and then I think she switched. She would shuffle, and I would tell her when to stop, or sometimes she would have me shuffle, depending on what she felt. Either way, she spread out these cards and gave me an answer that happened to be true. Whether she talked about something that had occurred or something was occurring, and it got to the point where she would give me future oriented advice, or she would tell me what was going to occur, and it did. So I went for her for probably about a year. I told her that I wanted to do what she did, and she said, I think you can. So I went to my job where I was working part-time, somebody else I was working part-time with. I told her, I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna start reading the tarot. And she said, okay, yeah, that'd be fun. I think you should. The next week, because we saw each other once a week at this job, she came in with an unopened deck of tarot cards. She said, Tanya, I had this from years ago, never opened them. You want to read? These are for you. Well, right after she gave me that deck, which I learned and I loved, a coworker gave me a deck of cards, and then a friend gave me a deck of cards. And so I don't believe in coincidences or ironies. And so I said, okay, I'm going to learn to read the tarot, and I did. And it was after learning to read the tarot and doing a specific reading. I was working at an online psychic company. I was working as an online reader, and this person called in, asked the question. So I shuffled the cards and I put them in a spread of just 3. I only learned one spread, and it was like 10 cards, and I'm lazy. I was like, this is too much. So I had three stacks. So I shuffled the cards, kept repeating her question, put the cards down. focused on the cards so that I can retrieve the information. But before I could interpret the cards, I started hearing what her answer was. I know that this was clairaudient. I just know I heard a voice that sounded like mine that was telling me what was going on. Then I thought, okay, what is this? What is this voice? But anyway, what's going on? Because I wanted to get her off the line, right? We only have a little limited amount of time. Anyway, I stopped looking at the cards and I just relayed to her what I heard. When I told her that, she asked me, she said, what deck are you using? And I told her. And she said, I read tarot too. What deck are you reading? I told her what deck I would read. She said, how many cards did you pull? I said, 3. And she said, you got all that from 3 cards? I said, yeah. She said, okay. And we got off the phone. It was after that reading where I realized, listen to the voice. It knows, and it knows more. After that point, I would still use the tarot, but I started listening more to the voice and giving more information. And then it got to the point where family and friends were being odd. They would say that I have a gift. I got an easy because I felt like if I had a gift, I shouldn't need the tarot cards. It's just the way I felt. Because truly, I learned the cards. That's all I did. You get a deck of cards. You learn the meanings of the cards. You learn the spreads if you shall use them. Somebody asks you a question, you interpret the card. So for me, it was more so of a skill. But when people, more than one, kept saying, you have a gift, you have a gift, I had to stop reading the tarot. I had to see if I had a gift. And so I said, God, if I have a gift, then I don't need the tarot card. I tried with a friend of mine at the time. I called her late at night. I texted her late at night. I said, yo, I want to read you without my cards. Give me a question. She was like, okay. She gave me a question. I sat still for a minute, calmed myself, started to hear words, texted back to her. She was like, wow. Excuse me. So she was not COVID. So she was like, wow. So then from that point on, that's when I said, okay, yo, I'm gonna become confident. I had to make the commitment, not just to be confident in my ability. I had to be confident that who I was connecting with was good energy, was God. It was either God or the client spirit guide, it's good energy. There is one time though that I had the consciousness of mind to say out loud, as well as with my inner voice, that if you haven't come to the light, then don't come to me. It's light energy, there's dark energy.
Right.
Communicating with light energy, you don't see the physical form, even if it's a transition spirit that you're communicating with, nobody sees a physical being. When there's dark energy that attacks you, again, nobody sees a physical being, yet this dark energy is attacking you. Understand that there are people deemed psychologically damaged, and some of them have these gifts.
I don't know if that happened for you, but it paused for a minute while you were talking about that. It did skip for a second. So, so yeah. Look, so I'm over here burning this incense, bringing in all of the good light energy because it is real, and understanding and being aware of it, and understanding that you do have to protect yourself. And just even going into that, there's 2 things. One, how is it that you protect yourself? And for people who do have these gifts as well, how can they protect themselves? And I'll come back to the other one, but we'll stick to that one.
For me, protection comes a lot from gemstones. I have a lot of gemstones around me. I wear them. I have several on right now. I wear them intentionally, though. It's not a fashion statement. I sometimes will either have a lot of stones, so sometimes I have one in my bra, my navel, or in a pocket, in my purse, wallet. I'm looking at both you and me, but in my wallet. I even sage my wallet. So sometimes you got to do certain things. But that's the main thing I do. I do a lot of, there's the prayer, where immediately I will just, especially as an empath, being energetically affected by somebody else, and it just, what I call an energetic assault, when it just hits you and your mood changes, that's an alert to an empath. Wait, what? This ain't mine. moving forward, because you got to know how to interact with that energy that is not yours, lest it controls your life. So with that being said, the gemstones are a big part. Prayer, because I will say, God, this ain't mine. Is this mine, God? No. Okay. Please. And that's how I talk.